I know fish can do it, but start trying matchsticks maybe, fit them in, and maybe 3,000 years down the line, possibly your descendants will be happy that you did matchsticks earlier. But thanks so much. I think welcome to IMT Ghaziabad. I have a bit of a script. For those who know me, I usually don't follow any kind of a script. I usually don't, even if I do prepare, somehow it kind of goes out of the window and I just have a bit of a connection. But today I just wanted nothing to go wrong. And essentially to be able to convey to you. So I'll rely a little bit on this. So as I mentioned, I would formally welcome you to IMT Ghaziabad. There's obviously a special day for us, right? It's a special day. Is it happening for the first time? No, right? More than 40 years in existence. But every time it's special. Trust us. The reason is very simple. There's always spring in the step. There is the horticultural person here, Ramesh Raut. He's got a spring in his step, right? He's making sure the flowers and the potted plants, everything is fine. Here, Mr. Ravi Pratap at the library is ensuring the books are in the right place. The finance books don't get mixed up with the marketing, and the marketing don't get mixed up with psychology. Otherwise, we'll assume that these are the books we need to read. The day is also very special because after 2 not so very short years, we are finally starting in the offline mode, the way it's supposed to be. Right? My heart goes out to the other batches wherein the orientation may have happened online. I think they keep rubbing it in at times. Your seniors keep rubbing it in at times. We didn't have this, we didn't have that. Sincere apologies, but there was a certain gentleman called Mr. COVID-19, which kind of prevented us from enabling this. I could talk to you today about IMT's legacy, our faculty, our students, our various stakeholders and our alumni, all obviously very, very strong pillars of this institution that you've trusted in your transformation journey. I could also talk to you about our vision, our mission, and how we intend to transform ourselves for a very different future ahead. And of course, our vision and mission translates into certain pillars. Now, what are these pillars? Through a continuous focus on student career and learning outcomes, okay, there's a constant effort to be able to ensure that we are a dynamic system which ensures that the learning outcomes and the career outcomes are matching what's happening around us and possibly lead what's happening around us. We would like to contribute to a robust and growing entrepreneurial ecosystem. And you'll see a lot of changes coming along in your time here. And if you have any penchant and if you have any desire or drive to be a job producer and not just a job consumer, do get in touch with us. Okay, it's very, very important that you do that. We have a very, very robust research ecosystem. Okay, and we have faculty who are publishing at the highest levels. Right? We are obviously ACSB accredited. That also drives us, but it's what I call as a bidirectional causality, right? Wherein we are publishing at the best, we're contributing knowledge and not just knowledge dissemination. Remember, any self-respecting institution will not be just a teaching establishment. It will not be, okay? It's very important for us to realize that. Our very strong stakeholder engagement system that obviously includes the alumni, it includes the industry, it includes all the other people, the government as stakeholders. We are working with them to be able to obviously build up on our position, our profile, our research capability, and also do a lot of meaningful work out there. And something that I'm rather proud of is this whole idea that our commitment to management as a way to drive social good is very high. Okay? For how long can we as management institutions essentially play in the scenario of possibly a first job or a second job or a third job? Right? There's so much here, there's so much strength here that we have to ensure that this can be used for social good, and I invite all of you who are inclined in that direction to join us in that effort. So we have a very strong sports research academy. We work on creating model sports villages across the region. We've tied up with various other universities, schools, to be able to help them also scale up. How do we use this whole concept of the creation of modern sports villages as a mechanism for socio-economic mobility. Right? We also, and something that you will do later is the SSR, right? Social responsibility initiatives, wherein you will work with very small enterprises, NGOs, people who possibly can't imagine that they'll get to work with your kind of talent, but you'll do that. Okay? And at the same time, we have a very fledgling Center for Sustainability as one of our centers of excellence. Apart from the fact that we have a Center for Enterprise and Business Improvement. And as you go along, I don't want to put a lot of information into your heads right now because I know that there's a lot of information that is not just floating around you, but coming straight at you. It'll take you some time to process all this, right? So I don't want to talk about that right now. As you mull, as you progress further, as you think more about what is it, finding your own role, you will realize that there is a lot that you can do here. If you want to publish research, if you want to publish research, possibly in broad audience journals or whatever, get in touch with the faculty. Very, very important. Today I choose to talk to you about you, right? It's all about you. Quite frankly, as a self-respecting management institution with a very strong legacy and the ability to transform, the focus has always been on you. It's very heartening to see participants today from 26 different states. Okay, so I was checking for data yesterday and I realized that we have people from all over India, Goa, Tripura, Meghalaya, everywhere. Okay, and how does that help? Very varied profiles, very varied profiles. Somebody is an architect, somebody is an engineer, somebody is in psychology, somebody possibly is a doctor. And I think this will be a great melting pot for a lot of good that comes out of that, only if you take advantage of that. As you progress in your journey, you'll have many stories of effort, of courage, of making it against all odds. Successes and failures, remember. Amongst you, right now, just look around you, you have a lot of participants who excelled in many things, including sports at the global level. Remember, at the global level, not just national, but also at the global level. So you have people amongst you who are actually doing that. Those who've been COVID warriors, okay, in some form or shape. Those who left their promising jobs simply because there was a higher calling. Those who have not let the health-related issues deter them from wanting to achieve the next. You will find in your midst entrepreneurs who want to move to the next level, who've done a bit, who've realized possibly there are limitations in terms of how I scale, how I fund, how I move forward, how I organize, how I create structures, and thus they're obviously here. And of course, you also find people who got over the health-related issues and now are ready for the next phase of their life, irrespective. You'll find a lot of people who, in the last 2.5 years, have gone through their own trials and tribulations. Okay, family, close people, not being able to even attend possibly a ceremony simply because there were so many restrictions. It's important that you make all that count now. It's unfortunate, it's sad, there are happy moments, there are sad moments, not everything is going to be hunky-dory. But remember, make all this count. A lot of sacrifices have happened. Much like Mr. Deepak Ramola's session a couple of days back. You all have your stories, and all these stories are special. They'll help you become more considerate and thoughtful leaders. At least I hope it does. Being considerate and thoughtful doesn't mean you're less impactful. Okay, you can be great leaders, even if you're viewed as a little too empathetic. Okay, it depends on where your heart is, depends on where your head is, depends on how strong your resolve is, becomes fundamentally very important. There'll be those who found their purpose, and there'll be those who are currently looking for one. Remember, look, it's always easy for us, or me at least, standing there and saying that, you found your purpose and great and all that. But I would imagine there are a lot of people there who are still searching, who are still trying to look around, who are getting a little overwhelmed and looking at people around, he's set for life and I'm not, he or she. But that's not the case. We're obviously living in an age where looking good is more important than feeling good. And fundamentally, that's not how it should ideally be. Okay. Finding a purpose is easier said than done. There'll be ups and downs. There'll be days when you feel this is home. But then you also feel that you want to be away from this place. There'll be days. Look, nobody's going to guarantee you a very hunky-dory, a very nice, comfortable life, right? And Dr. Sareen has obviously given you a little bit of a secret in terms of how you get 50%. I wish I knew this when I was doing all this. But it's not. There'll be days when you'll call this place home. There'll be days when you'll want to be 1,000 miles, in fact 10,000 miles away from here, for some reason or the other. Okay? Be prepared for that. I think a lot of you, in fact most of you, may be aware of the bumblebee, right? And the fact that supposedly, maybe it's a myth, and maybe it's a myth that at NASA there is a photograph of the bumblebee, and the fact that it's not supposed to be flying because of the weight of its body and the fact that it's got very small wings. Okay, but it still flies, right? In a way, the bumblebee is glad that it didn't listen to any physicists, right? Because if it did, then they say, I don't have permission to fly, so I can't. But the fact is, what I'm trying to highlight here is that there will be many explanations. Nowadays, when you go online, you see all kinds of arguments and all kinds of stuff, right? So there'll be a lot of people who talk about the fact that, the physicist was wrong and the scientist was wrong, and nowadays you have, what does a bumblebee do? It creates tiny hurricanes around its wings and does in the process. The wings beat very, very fast and it can fly. Obviously, that is the case, and I guess that's one of the reasons why you have winglets on planes now. 15 years back, you never saw winglets on the sides of the planes, because that creates vortices, and in a process it increases efficiency of aircraft or whatever, I don't know. But the fact is, what I'm trying to highlight here is that a lot of you will have to find your own way of going about things. You are all unique, like everybody else, right? You don't want to highlight, okay, this person a star and that person a star. Everybody is unique. You'll all have to find your own mechanism. You don't have large wings, you have a different skill set, different methodology, different approach to dealing with things. Please do it, right? Possibly there is an objective, possibly there's an aim, but how you reach that goal will depend largely on the mechanisms that you adopt. But the mechanisms that you adopt will not be based on this whole idea of static learning. Remember, learning is dynamic. You can't be a static learner. It's not possible. Okay, a lot of people come in and say that, hey, I'm a PGDM marketing, I'm a PGDM finance, I'm a PGDM BFS or BCP, and this is what I'm going to focus on because this is the CGP I'm going to get. Quite frankly, when you get recruited or when you are entrepreneurs and you're looking at raising funding out there, many times, your CGP and supposedly very high CGPAs may not count as much as you think. But your ability to solve problems is what's going to matter. Okay. I also wanted to quickly highlight, I know our guests of honor and the chief guests have come already. I quickly wanted to bring up this idea that, and something that Dr. Sareen and everybody has highlighted, start asking questions, join the conversation, it's very important. If you face issues, if you want insight, if you want help, and it doesn't have to just be a domain-specific help. Remember, in this day and age, and especially for the last 2.5 years, there's so much that has happened that people require a lot of strength and a lot of reinforcement. And we have facilities and mechanisms by which we can do that. So remember, it's not we, the faculty, the officers, the staff, the dean, none of us are here just to be able to exist, but be there so that we can help you solve issues and problems and guide you. Obviously, if we are not able to guide you in certain aspects, we can look at other mechanisms, other ways of doing it. But it's important you start engaging. You start engaging in the conversation. There's no point sitting in a room and just be by yourselves. It's very important that you start engaging. There's so many people around you who can definitely help. Come along, meet us, meet your mentors. Right? Tell us how much more can we actually do. Remember, no self-respecting institution out there can rest on its laurels and say, hey, our job is done because we are 40 years old and because we're 50 years old, and that's it. It's not. The next 10, 15 years of our education or higher education, lower education, whatever you want to call it, primary, secondary, is a very different world out there. Okay, it's very dynamic. We've had to grow up, we've had to learn many things, blended, technology-induced learning, right? And this will not stop. The cat is out of the bag, the bullet is out of the gun. We have to keep on going further and changing ourselves. So it is very important that you start co-creating the learning experience with us. Okay? Is that something that I can get as a yes from you? Can we start co-creating? Yes, sir. Very good. Thank you. There's a very interesting, very short quote. Somebody, I think, I wouldn't mention the name, but mentioned on LinkedIn yesterday. Nowadays, you get a lot of people talking about the fact that they joined various institutions and everything, and they say, elated to share my first LinkedIn post as I begin my MBA journey at Institute of Management Technology, Ghaziabad. Cheers to the hustle ahead. Okay. Now, the hustle, obviously, depending on what your definition of hustle is, can be of varied kinds. Hustle can be aggressive, forced, can be, meander, cutting corners, whatever else. But it's not. Hustle in the right way. Okay, how you hustle or how you achieve what you would like to achieve, a lot of that has changed, right? And it's important that you factor that in. But yes, it's some form of getting to a certain goal vigorously at times, patiently at times, collaboratively at times. It's very, very important. This is also a time to recognize all the troubles and uncertainties that your family members have gone through. It's a salute to you and your families, right? The undying commitment. No matter what happens, it's important that you are in a place where you're able to utilize your skills, your learning to be able to create, look at a greater cause. Very, very important. You're obviously going to get you. I would imagine you're planning for the next 40 years. I mean, most of us, possibly in the front row, or first 2-3 rows, are not necessarily planning for the next 40 years of career. But you guys are. Okay. I'm not saying that IMT Ghaziabad will instill in you everything that is there that you require for 40 odd years of space flight. Right? It's not like one of those, if you're into Star Trek or whatever. It's not going to be that way. But how you learn is very important. And that's something that we will definitely contribute towards. We'll definitely be able to give you a lot of insight about the current world that you exist in right now. Whether it's about technologies, whether it's about this whole dichotomy and strange situation that as we're globalizing, we're also localizing, we're also regionalizing and stuff. And how do you kind of work your way around that will be very important. You'll also be able to derive, design, strategize in environments where kids are coming into a tech-induced environment. I know 6-year-old kids who have Instagram accounts and stuff like that. It's a very, very different world. Okay, all this will then factor into your decision making. How do you ensure that you're able to align human beings and machines together is something that you guys will have to do. And we believe at IMT Ghaziabad that management education is right out there, is very much important, very much required for you to be able to meander through that kind of world. Its problem-solving capability, its ability to make you think, its ability to be multidiscipline orientated, its ability to not only solve problems, but also identify problems, will be fundamentally very important as you progress going forward. As usual, if you allow an academic to speak, they'll carry on till the cows come home. But I wouldn't want to do that, right? And something that I took permission from one of the students here, Ayendri Chandra. Ayendri, are you around? So that's Ayendri here. Last night I think you posted, I suddenly saw a post on LinkedIn, and I felt that this kind of works aligns very well with what we are about today. So she talks about her feelings, and thank you very much for giving me permission. Right? Ayendri's obviously worked for almost 4 years. Right? She went through this whole scenario: should I hold back? I've been admitted into IMT Ghaziabad. Should I take that step? I'm sure you consulted a lot of people. And finally, she got onto a train to Delhi. From where? From Kolkata. And that's my place as well. So I found very, Andy, sit down, don't worry. I found something very, very interesting, aligns very well to my closure. She says, sitting on the berth of the train to Delhi, while I pen this down, I realize the boundaries are broken. Cliches I've overcome. But most importantly, broken the glass ceiling in my mind. That yes, I can. Even though a mere thank you would be an understatement to all the learnings from a particular company that she's coming in from, I'll be forever grateful and obliged. After 4 years, even though it was hard, but with dreams in my eyes, once again, I plunge into the world of being a scholar. And then she says, thank you, Auntie. But more importantly, she says, but through this undulating phase, what I realized is, for some, success means achieving. But for some, it's breaking boundaries. So break them, but break them within yourself first. Okay? Because whatever it is, you do you. That's important, right? Great, brilliant. Welcome to your home. That's IMT Ghaziabad. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words.
We now request our chief guest, Mr. Rajesh Uppal, our guest of honor, Mr. Tanmoy Chakrabarty, our dean, director, and our 3 program chairs to please make their way onto the dais, please.
I would request everyone to stand up and welcome our esteemed guests. Thank you.
It is our immense pleasure to introduce our guest of honor at the ceremony, Mr. Tanmoy Chakrabarty. Mr. Chakrabarty is the Group Government Affairs Officer at Tata Sons Private Limited, where his role is to synergize the Tata Group company initiatives with central, state and local governments to develop a one Tata approach to the government sector. His first major e-government program at TCS for the Government of India was the Mission Mode project, which won the Prime Minister's Award for Service Delivery Excellence. He has over 39 years of experience and is currently the chairman of the Infrastructure Subcommittee at FICCI and is the Treasurer and Management Committee member at Public Affairs Forum of India. So, please share a few words of wisdom with our first year batch.
Well, I didn't realize that I would be the opening batsman this morning, but thank you very much, Vishal. Lovely to see you again, Amit, for having me here this morning. And I was listening to the remainder of the speech because we moved in as Vishal was speaking. And firstly, it's a pleasure to be amongst students, the future of India. This is the India that, surely is going to be the new India. I think the foundations of it are already visible to all of us. We perceive it, we feel it, And clearly there is a new energy after 2 years of hiatus that India and the world have seen in terms of the pandemic. And there's lots of lessons and takeaways from the pandemic that I think are going to augur well to further solidify the foundation of accelerating the process and journey of New India. So as Vishal was saying clearly that, some of us in the first 2 rows are not aspiring and planning for the next 40 years, but surely 3rd row onwards, all of you are. And many of you will either be on your own, or you will be a part of corporate India or corporate world based on the opportunities that you seek and the opportunities that present to yourselves when you finish the programs here at IMT. Clearly, I think the learnings from the COVID period that we've had clearly have got us to introspect some of the fundamental programs that we have in India on hand. And I just wanted to share this morning some of the things that we need to do. As I always say, that the first billion of population in the world, problems have been solved largely by the West. But the next 5 to 6 billion people's problems will have to be solved by countries and people in countries like India. And that is where the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis, we all visibly saw the challenges and the stretch that we had of our healthcare system during the COVID. So that requires a huge overhaul, and it is underway by way of a large program of the government, but a lot more needs to be done in terms of being able to handle a crisis of that scale and size and complexity that we had just experienced. We have problems of urban infrastructure. 50% of India will be urbanized by 2030. We don't hear of any new greenfield cities that we are planning to build. Therefore, we have to really reinforce urban solutions for this massive urbanization that we are going to see as an onslaught in the next 7 to 8 years. We have problems of mass slumification of our cities that we have created. We have to bring in solutions of urban resettlement, low-cost housing solutions, denotification of cities to expand the jurisdiction to be able to accommodate, transportation solutions that we need to solve because of this concentration of population that we have. And this morning I experienced it in my car ride from Noida to Ghaziabad, the kind of real intense traffic that you encountered on the way. And obviously there's a lot of projects that are also visible, like the metro, etc., which is going to solve partially some problems, but we need more solutions for some of these challenges. We have, every city in the country has a completely stained water body. River rejuvenation, therefore, is a massive area of focus, that we have to clean up our rivers and water bodies. So these will require immense amount of technology inputs to be able to solve these problems. These cannot be solved through administrative inputs of the civil services. This requires out-of-the-box thinking, innovative models of financial engagement with the private sector and the government. Many of you who are going to embark and finish your careers in the academic area as MBAs are going to be involved in bringing solutions to some of these very complex problems. So I would say that there are tremendous opportunities of being innovative in the new India, in the generation that you are going to arrive in the corporate or the work world. You will have tremendous opportunities of working in companies who are not just pursuing profits, who are going to be prioritizing social objectives. ESG is going to become a very important element of every company, and I am sure, as I see in the future, shareholders are going to invest in companies that have a definite, demonstrated commitment towards also contributing back to social objectives and social causes. So clearly there are opportunities to be entrepreneur in every role that you work upon. There is tremendous amount of open spaces as I just articulated in some of these areas that I mentioned, the whole renewable energy aspects of bringing green energy into the grid and getting rid of some of our coal-based traditional ways of generating energy. Tata Power, which is one of the group companies that I represent, the Tata Group, has committed that by 2050 they will be a 100% renewable company. They will be completely eliminating all other traditional fossil fuel-based energy generating capability. So many opportunities I can foresee. We have in the civil aviation space a kind of a boom that's going to emerge with the 100 airports getting activated. And there will be tremendous hub and spoke kind of regional air services that will emerge within the country, which we have never seen in the past. So that will open up tremendous opportunities of the ecosystem around civil aviation. As I mentioned about urban transportation, there's going to be a boom of electric vehicle mass transportation opportunities, where technology will play a tremendous role in the track and trace capability of you as a commuter getting on your mobile phone, the ability to plan your visit in the city as to what time you want to leave and what time you reach, and all of that route planning can be available on your mobile phones through transportation systems that are going to provide a whole plethora of electric transport, electric vehicles for mass transportation. A bus can take 70, 80 people, and that means you're eliminating maybe 20, 30 cars, because you can't increase the roads. So you will have to think of mass transportation solutions in view of people buying more and more cars. So just as little simple examples of opportunities that will emerge. And as I can clearly foresee, in the next 2 to 3 decades, we are at this part of the curve right now. We have come to the bottom of the bottomest low, and there's only one way in which we are going to go, which is this way, and you are going to be a part of that wave that you can ride. So be very optimistic about the opportunity ahead, and as Vishal said, just be communicative, get involved. There is the whole plethora of the internet. Consume as much as you can, get into group discussions, improve your ability to not only understand the domain, but also to be able to communicate effectively so that you can stand out and differentiate and be more competitive than the rest. And that's definitely going to be one of the clear ingredients to contribute to your making a difference when it really matters, which is in the next 2 years when you're going to get into either the corporate world or be an entrepreneur. So I want to wish you the very best. I want to thank Vishal for bringing me here to be a part of this session. Welcome to all of you to IMT Ghaziabad. It's a very impressive campus. I have my nephew who's very active, who's a very active alumni from here, so I keep hearing from him about different things that happen here. Very active, very happening place. Avail the opportunity that you have on hand to the hilt and hustle positively as much as you can to make a difference in the future. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and motivating words. I request Professor Sareem to hand Mr. Chakrabarty a token of our memento, token of our appreciation. Can we have a round of applause, please?
We are humbled by the opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Rajesh Uppal. Mr. Rajesh Uppal is a visionary with an impressive career of more than 30 years in the field of information technology. He is currently serving as the Chief Information Officer of Maruti Suzuki India Limited and acts as the Senior Executive Director of IT, Safety, HR, and Education and Training functions at Maruti and Suzuki. Renowned as a leading thought leader, Mr. Uppal is a regular speaker at various forums across the globe and has chaired numerous national and international conferences. He has many accolades including Global CIO, CIO Choice, Best CIO of the Year, to name a few. Realizing the importance of trained and motivated human resource, he had conceived and successfully established a dedicated training academy in Maruti Suzuki, which has garnered prestigious awards and accolades, including Brandon Hall Award for Learning Management Systems and Silver Trophy for the category Best Private Organization Training Program at ASSOCHAM's Summit Cum Awards on Skilling India. We welcome you to IMT, sir. The stage is now all yours.
Thanks, Dr. Vishal, for inviting me here. Really delighted to be with all of you today. And thanks for nice introduction about me. I'm a mechanical engineer by education, but I got into IT in my first job at BHA, and the reason was they had some internal processes of hiring people and getting into IT for aptitude and all. I topped that test and then finally I was given IT to work on, and that's where I started on IT in my career and joined Maruti in 1985. Started heading, I was youngest general manager in Maruti in 1980, 92, 93, but started heading IT in 98. And suddenly a change came in my career. From IT, I was given in one of the board meetings, and I was representing IT in the Maruti board. And I was told, our HR told our board that we want to set up a big training academy for the company. And our chairman, Mr. Bhargav, looked at me and says, in today's age, do we need a physical academy or do we need knowledge-based academy? That's where I got into the whole learning field and started heading new academy for Maruti, which was very knowledge-based and technology-based. And from there, when it was doing very well, so I was asked to head HR going forward, and that's when my career expanded from IT to HR and then many more fields now. When I was, listening to Dr. Vishal today, I thought what I'm sharing with you is my experience about how I see this, opportunity all of you and all. Then we talk about opportunities all of us have today, and we people at the corporates are very fond of creating framework for the company. You make a framework and everybody works in that framework. So I thought what I am going to do today is share an opportunity framework which I think will cover many of the points which Dr. Talwar said, and maybe something more, to really take advantage of the whole opportunity which is there in front of all of you. Tanmoy talked about the kind of opportunity available in the industry. You can be an employer or employee based on your aptitude or your thinking. But in order to do that, I think the important thing is the whole framework of opportunity for all of us. First and foremost is O, which is openness to learn. Very important thing is that every day has to be a new learning day for any one of us. In fact, I manage technology, but I can't sleep in the night without reading half an hour myself personally to upgrade myself, because if you want to lead a team which is very young, very bright, and coming out with lots of ideas, unless you build your capability, I think it's very important for any one of us to survive in the industry today. So the openness to learn is the first point which I want all of you to imbibe on, that every day has to be a new learning day and keep looking at newer and newer learning for yourself in whatever you do over there. In fact, when you enter Maruti, in fact, how 50,000 people enter in the company in a very smooth way and go out is a learning you need to learn. And so on. I think important thing is the learning has to be a big agenda for all of us. I guess not that we achieved something and will come out with get a job, but unless you have a strong fundamental of learning with you, you can't take it forward. Second is P. P means for me is plan. And I come from a Japanese companies where planning takes one of the most important thing in our working. Unless you plan your work, unless you set up your whole goal for yourself and work on that, you keep going around the areas around and don't find the direction to work on. And the way Japanese work very clearly is plan things together, look at all risks possible. Once every planning is done, blindly follow that in your working. I think it's the whole genuine which we normally follow in Maruti Suzuki. I think my whole career of almost 35 years now in Maruti, we have never failed on delivery project on time because we plan very good and then also make sure once planning has been done, meticulously deployment is the way of working in our company going forward. Third, participate. I think we talked about it in the Vishal's lecture. Unless you participate, unless you engage, unless you work with your colleagues, and the number of opportunity available in the campus is huge. And those opportunities will really create more and more opportunity to learn when you engage further. Being a loner, being in yourself doesn't help anyway in an industry. So be participative, ensure that you be part of any of the opportunity which you get to engage and work in the organization, in the campus when you go along. Next, optimism. Be positive. You know, life is never smooth that every time you go in one direction, you'll get lots and lots of issues in your life. And you need to make sure that while in your career, you are always that positive. And any opportunity or any place we don't find thing going in your way, I guess there's lots of learning in that instance that you can, you know that this will not work for you and you need to get into some newer way of working. So that's important. Be positive in your approach when you go along. Rediscover. I think again, Dr. Vishal talked about it in his speech. Very, very important is don't carry forward your learning. You need to, unlearning today is also one of the important aspects in your working than learning. So lots and lots of myths, lots and lots of mindsets we need to change when you go along, when you learn, then continue with your own traditional or thinking way of thinking. So unlearning your past is also one of the, what to unlearn and work on that is also going to be a very, very important thing for all of you to work on. Be aware of that as part of your learning as we go along. Test your limits, stretch goals, which I've seen, the way the case studies are given in the campus, the results you have to give, or in your career working around. I think one thing very clear today is, unless you stretch yourself, take a higher goals, higher targets and all, you can't achieve your word. In fact, I've seen my teams which join us regularly and work with us, taking Maruti to next level on each and every innovation we do. And one important lesson I have personally working for such a long in the industry is today, unless you keep on innovating, you can't survive. I think again, case in example is our company. We were a government company, we were joint sector, we became private, but our market leadership has retained. We still manage 50% of the market in the industry. And one reason for that is very clearly that stretch, find newer way of working, rediscover yourself and find every day a newer and newer way to work to handle that is an important element which we need to work on. Unfaced. Again, lot of distraction, lot of failure will come in your way. be focused and keep into the direction and the goal which you have set for yourself is an important trait in the framework which I just shared. Network. Network not within the campus, which is the network here, but network the whole industry outside. Be active on your LinkedIn, be active on your social media around, be interact with the corporate and the other companies around. There's a lot to learn over there, a lot to manage. I think the good thing about IMT is it has got a very strong alumnus network. There will be lots and lots to learn from each one of them to work and take it forward. I think it will be one important area for all of you to work on. Innovation is the key. In fact, we are a large organization known for lots and lots of work being done, but we are actively working with youngsters like you to create or get innovation or open innovation from all of you to in our company. In fact, I'm driving a big program called MAIL, which is the working with youngsters like you, mentor them and create those solutions to solve real-life business problems for the company using technology. So innovation is key, and also my firm belief is innovations are very short-lived. I mean, my experience has been we've done lots and lots of innovation in our company, but the life of the innovation is maybe 3 months to maybe 1 year. Your competition will copy it. Sometimes your employee will leave you and go to your competition and help them to implement that innovation. But your ability to continuously innovate and raise the bar is only reason to keep you at the leadership position is important for all of us. So make sure that innovation is part of your agenda when you work on. Look for newer and newer solutions, newer and newer ways to solve the business problems is the important area to work on. Teamwork. I mean, Japanese companies are known for those kind of processes in the company to work where all our software workers sit together and find real life problems and solve them themselves, and we support them to do that. I think working like a big teams, again, I think campus give lots and lots of opportunity to work on that, various clubs, various forums, ensure that you participate in that and work. And teamwork is not about working with a team. Also, teamwork is about mindset you have that I need to share, I need to work together, and we need to make our group winner. I think is the thinking which all of you need to work on. Right? Last but not the least, youth. By youth I mean here is the way, as youngster you need to work on, enjoy your working, enjoy your learning, make sure that every day you learn more, but have very, what should I say, eventful and celebrity kind of working over here, so that you really enjoy your working and enjoy the learning every day. I think focus on areas which really make you happy and work on those hobbies you have, work on those traits you have to create that happiness in your environment. I think as an organization we have seen a lot of negativity in our company on post-COVID about people working and negativity in the company. So having a good health and having a positive mental mindset is going to be very, very important for us. I think importance of health has never been felt as high as post-COVID. All of us have seen that. Looking forward, all of you to work on this going forward. As part of the IMT board, we have been interacting regularly with the whole board member, with Dr. Tanmoy. I think I've seen lots and lots of innovation. I've seen lots and lots of maturity coming in this organization to be innovative and to work with all the students to achieve their goals and their careers. And you will find a big support from all of you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and motivating address. It is said that there are two ways to learn, either from your own experience or you can grasp something from someone else's experience. We all feel richer by learning from Mr. Uppal's experience, and we cannot thank him enough for sharing anecdotes from his career as a working professional. Now, I would request Dr. Vishal Tarwar, Director IMT Ghaziabad, to felicitate our esteemed chief guest.
We are now close to the end of the first half of this orientation session. I now request Professor Neha Arora, co-chair of the DCP program, to give the vote of thanks to all our speakers and our guests present here today.
An united mind is the most powerful weapon on the earth, above the earth, and under the earth. And this is got through education and value in education. Education is the most satisfying and sustainable investment for a purposive future. A very good morning to everyone present here. On behalf of IMT Ghaziabad, I feel a great honor and privilege to stand before you to deliver the vote of thanks. My sincere thanks to our guests for the day, Mr. Tanmoy Chakrabarty, Mr. Rajesh Uppal, for taking the time from their busy schedule and gracing the orientation day of our batch of 2022-24 with their warm presence. Words are not enough to express the gratitude. On behalf of our institution, I thank both of you for your thought-provoking, motivating, and aspirational address before the incoming batch. I thank Mr. Chakrabarty to motivate our students to think out of the box, be innovative, and formulate solutions for the dynamic problems and focus on the social structure and the ESG issues as well. Thank you, sir. Immense thankful to Mr. Rajesh Uppal for igniting the opportunity in the students towards growth, humility, progress, and prosperity and innovation on the way of you becoming you. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Director Professor Vishal Talwar and Dean Professor Amit Sarin for guiding us and motivating the students. I am sure that your words of assurance and wisdom has given a source of energy in learning and becoming considerate and thoughtful leaders for tomorrow. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank Professor Bernali Chaklagar, Chairperson PGDM Full-Time, Professor Sean Matthew, Chairperson PGDM Dual Country Program, Professor Anand Krishnamurti, PGDM BFS Chairperson, for addressing the student and elaborating on the trajectory that the students will achieve in their MBA journey. Thank you, sir. My heartfelt thanks goes to all our faculty members who are always there to guide and mentor the students in their journey at IMT within the next 2 years. We feel proud and thank you for making us feel happy with your presence to this function. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very proactive and dedicated staff of our institution who have been working tirelessly to make this happen. I sincerely thank each one of you. Ma'am Ishita and her entire team, which has been at the core of activities preceding this event, they have been wonderful in each and every aspect of the month-long process of this admission. Thank you, ma'am. This event would not have been possible without the active and immense effort of our IT team, Mr. Indrajit ji and his team, entire team, especially Mr. Joy Sharma, Mr. Bhupendra Singh for handling our social media, our live online streaming of the event today, and the back-end team for providing support on every instant, especially Deepak ji for setting up the stage on today. I thank Mr. Manju Singhal ma'am, sorry for that. I thank Ms. Manju Singhal ma'am for being wonderful and most humble resource for making things possible. You know, running to her on most occasions with a request or two has always been fulfilled. Thank you, ma'am. Our entire administration team, our DGM, Mr. Rajendra ji, our Raj Kishore ji, Priyanka ma'am, and Mr. Saurabh and Mr. Gaurav ji for orchestrating all that we needed in each of the stage in long drawn process. Mr. Yogendra Vats and his team for tirelessly working for all the food arrangement. Our housekeeping staff, Mr. Harshit and his team for making sure the smooth organization of all the event. I'm short of words for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zone. No show is ever complete without the support of our student committee. We also appreciate the efforts of each member of the admission committee, the academic committee, SAT committee, PRISM committee, alumni relationship committee, and the mess committee for sincerely putting in the hard work for the past month for this. Thank you, everyone. Last but not least, I thank all the students of incoming batch for being here today. I'm sure you all are going to give your best to these 2 years and go on to achieve greater heights for yourself and bring laurels to IMT with your achievements. Thank you, students. If I have missed anyone, my apologies and heartfelt gratitude to everyone. It's not intentional. I once again thank everyone for making this program successful. I would like to leave you all with a quote by Dr. Suisse, emphasizing the journey that you are all about to embark on. He says, and I quote, "You are off to great places. Today is your first day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So students, you are supposed to come back to this auditorium in the second half by 1:45. Please be seated. And there's some arrangement for high tea for the faculties outside. Officers, please join us for high tea. And students, you have to be back by 4:45. Your other sessions will be there.